Tonight we make our way up once again to Calvary, to the foot of the cross. Though, of course, this won't be the last time. See that the Christian life is always about returning to the foot of the cross. And tonight we take a look at the last of the 7 words that Christ gives us. Father, into your hands I commend my spirit. Father, into your hands I commend my spirit. And I can't help but think that, like a book, you hope that all those plot threads and loose points, by the time you reach that final chapter and that final page and that final sentence, everything is tied up in a neat little bow. That the threads that occur throughout salvation history, that wind themselves all the way back past the choosing of the 12, past the incarnation on the Nativity, past the Annunciation, past all the great patriarchs of the Old Testament, and all the way down to Abraham and eventually Adam and Eve, that all those plot points, all those threads, we now see the divine author trying to tie them all together. And there's a certain weight placed upon last words, isn't there? I'm reminded in particular of another set of words. Another king once said, I hope I have not bored you. That king, of course, was Elvis Presley. And here today we receive another words of another king, the true high king, the true sovereign of the universe, Jesus the Lord. Father, into your hands I commend my spirit. And when I think of those plot points that begun in the garden, I can't help but think of other words Christ gave us, other stories he told us. For instance, these words come to us in the gospel according to St. Luke. And a few chapters before, Luke recounts a very famous parable that we heard a few weeks ago, the parable of the prodigal son. And there's some striking similarities between the prodigal son and the Lord. Does not Christ also leave the riches, the overabundance of the treasures of heaven to leave into the divine poverty of the world we inhabit? And of course, there's differences that he does this. The prodigal son does this out of selfishness, out of trying to please the self. But the Lord does not do this. The Lord does this out of love for others. And here, with his last words, he gives us probably one of his greatest lessons. It's like those last words are trying to tidy up what your life was about. And in few weeks ago, in an earlier talk, we heard some other words, right? My God, why have you abandoned me? Why have you forsaken me? And there's a similarity with today, with the same words of, I commend my spirit. Because he's also quoting Psalms. And to the good observant Jew who hears these words, they know that he's quoting Psalms. They especially know this because that would be a very traditional way to end the night for a Jew. You were to go to bed, the sun sets, the day is over, night and darkness rule, and before you close your eyes, you would say, Father, into your hands I commend my spirit. I don't know what's going to happen to me when I close my eyes, because tomorrow is promised for no one. But I know that if I give you my spirit, my soul, it will be taken care of. I commend my spirit to you because I am giving my soul back to the person who could truly safeguard it, back to the person who could truly keep it, like the good thief, St. Dismas, that we read about at the start of this series. Father, into your hands I commend my spirit. And Luke doesn't stop there. If you're to go back and read that last chapter of Luke, Luke says that the Lord cries aloud. He doesn't whisper this like you might imagine someone who has spent the last untold hours being beat and broken and bruised, struggling to breathe on the cross, does not utter these words in a whisper. Luke tells us he cries it aloud. Father, into your hands I commend my spirit. It is that divine exclamation point on what we are to do with our spirit. It is the divine exclamation point on tidying up this history that has started in the garden. Is that final last exclamation point on where we ultimately are destined to go. Father, into your hands I commend my spirit. He cries it aloud, and then he breathes his last. It is so fitting that he then breathes his last. Everything began with this breath. In Hebrew, it's ruach. And in Greek, pneuma. And it's this divine air, this divine breath, which literally breathed life into the nostrils of the first man to give birth to humanity. And now it's fitting that the Son of Man breathes his last and reminds us to give our all. Everything we have been given, all these good things ultimately come from the Lord. And ultimately they should return to the Lord. Crying aloud, Father, I will give you that breath that you gave me. Because ultimately it is with you I wish to be with. And like the prodigal son, to meet the Father who is overjoyed to be reunited with his child, who takes him from the abject poverty of this world and envelops him with the treasures, the overflowing abundance of good things he wishes to give to you and to all of us. To put the ring on the finger of the prodigal son, to put sandals on his feet, royal robes and cloaks about him. You are my beloved. You are the one I have wished and longed for to return home to me. That is the power of these final words of Christ. Father, into your hands I commend my spirit. Father, it is you that I run to. It is you I long for. It is you who can raise me to be the child you wish me to be. And when we breathe our last, when we speak our last words, let it be the same words that so desperately wishes to be reunited with the Lord.